Hey everyone, how are you? Sorry about that. I had a little bit of a technical issue, but it's all good now. We're back. Welcome back to another episode of the Horror Hangout. Again, kind of still tweaking this, trying to figure out how it's all going to work. But as always, I'm your host, Aaron. This week, going to take a similar format to the last show. Going to talk about some stuff I've watched, recommendations, different things like that. I'm going to trial having a look at one or two trailers that I've picked out. I'm not sure how well it's going to work out, but we'll try it. Then we're just going to talk about some horror movie news, and that's basically it. Again, it'll be a short enough show, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. So, yeah, I guess the best thing we'll just get stuck in right now. So, the first movie I want to talk about what I've been watching recently. This one came as a recommendation from somebody who should still be in the chat, I think, Greg, which is Backcountry, which was made or released in 2014. And it also was under the name Blackfoot Trail, I believe, I think is the original name. I'm not sure how many people actually know this movie as Backcountry, but I think in the States and stuff, it's known as Blackfoot Trail. Actually, we've got another person here in the chat. A Swedish Arnold, hello, how are you? You will probably like this as well. It's, I guess, kind of along the lines of some of the stuff you like. But yeah, it was directed by a name, or let me have a look here. Sorry, guys, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, so it was directed by a guy by the name of Adam McDonald. This was his feature directorial debut. He acted in, this is something I didn't actually know. He acted in episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark, Vampire High. He's currently in pre-production on a movie called Come Out the Wolves, which the synopsis is: at a cabin deep in the wilderness, a weekend of hunting turns to mayhem and fight for survival when a pack of wolves attack a man, his female best friend, and her fiance. And it also stars the lead from Backcountry, which is the movie we're talking about right now. So, yeah, Backcountry. It's your general kind of basic setup. A couple travel to a national park. The boyfriend and girlfriend, I guess you could call them. They're not married at that point, so the chick is a lawyer, as far as I know. You can tell she's not really interested in doing this, but she's kind of doing it for him. He is an apparent outdoorsman, very proficient in the wilderness and stuff like that. Greg also pointed out that it is based on a true story, which I forgot to mention. That's actually something I might bring up in a future episode. But yeah, it's your basic setup. You know, she's not really overly interested, but she does it for him. Now he says that he, you know, he's a huge outdoors guy. I didn't really get that vibe from him at all, but apparently he is. He knows this place like the back of his hand. When they get to I guess the check-in location for the national park, I'm assuming they keep a log of, you know, who's going in and out of the park in case people do go missing. He refuses a map, and he's told as well that you know, it's strange that they're coming out there right now because it's the end of the season and the weather can change very quick, and it just seems a bit odd that they want to do it now. But the girl isn't listening at this point, and he just kind of passes it off as if, like, you know, it's fine. I've done this a million times. It's all good. He also gets told that Blackfoot Trail, which is where he wants to bring her, is closed due to too many hooligans or something like that. Which again he brushes off. Which he gives the impression that he doesn't give a shit and he is going to bring her on that trail regardless, because he knows exactly what he's doing and it'll be fine. So from here, then on the first night, they meet a woodsman called Brad, who is apparently Irish. He's played by a guy by the name of Eric Balfour, who I knew him when I was looking at the actor, but I couldn't place him at all. He actually plays Kemper in the Texas Chainsaw 2003 remake, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. His accent is absolutely awful, but and it was something that stuck out to me. I was like, how is like everything else in this movie seemed on point until we got to this part with the accent, and I was like, why didn't they just axe that completely from the plot? Like they could have just given him any accent; it wouldn't really mattered, would it? But yeah, Greg says worst Irish accent ever. I agree with that, but on I watched this movie twice, and on second thought, I kind of wonder, uh, when the two leads are talking in the tent at one point after she invites him for dinner, um, and they say, "Oh, he's been hunting in the mountains of Ireland or something like that." Um, it just it made me wonder, was the intention there for him to be like fake and being Irish or something like that to try and cover up who he is or what he is? Um, I want to believe that more because it makes me feel a little bit better about the fact that the accent is so bad. But I don't know if that was actually intentional or not. I thought this scene was very tense. He starts making all these uncomfortable, um, he starts making all these uncomfortable remarks about Jen while Alex is sitting there. Um, and it's just, I don't know, and I rarely get caught up in scenes like that, but it was really well done, I thought. And I was kind of sitting there wondering, like, what would I do if I was in a similar position? Um, the guy, he has this huge knife. He obviously knows a lot about outdoors and different things like that, and it just kind of makes me wonder what were his intentions all the way out there, and he just happened to come across them randomly. It just seemed a bit coincidental, and it makes me wonder, does he do that? Does he go out and prowl on tours and stuff? He says that he gives tours of the park and different things like that, but I'm not sure how much we should believe about what he says. But eventually it kind of comes to a head and he decides to leave. And as he's leaving, he stops and he turns back to Alex and he says, earlier on you said to Jen that it was, or you said to me, it was just a misunderstanding. What did you mean by that? And Alex is kind of like, oh, just, whatever, leave it, it's fine. And then he comes back and gets like right in his face. And it seems like something's going to happen. It gets super tense. And then he just kind of walks away into the dark and we don't really hear any more of him. And I wasn't sure then if he was like a huge part of the story or not, but it was really well done. It was cool to put that in there. He does come up again later on in the story. Greg says the reason he has an Irish accent is because the guy who found him in real life was an Irish scout leader. Very interesting. I did not know that. And this is something I would normally actually go and look up the true story straight away. But it actually didn't even cross my mind, to be honest. I enjoyed that movie that much, Greg. That was a great recommendation, by the way. A Swedish horror nerd. Bad acting always raises character questions. Yeah, and sometimes I guess maybe it is intentional, and then maybe sometimes it's just the fan in us. We start to tear apart the plot and different things, and then you get all these theories about different people and whatever. Um. Oh yeah, he also has a pair of her knickers, which is extremely creepy. That's so her underwear or whatever you want to call it, wherever you're from. Yeah, he has a pair of those as well, which is really bizarre. And I think he gives them back to her or something like that. And it's just, yeah, it's strange. It's very, very strange. I really liked his character though. It was fucked up. Um, Greg says, I seen it on When Animals Attack. All right. Okay, cool. So, from here we start to kind of see evidence of bears, around where they are and different things like that. We see them move further through the park, him trying to bring her to this trail or whatever he's trying to do to impress her. He gets them completely lost, and then when he finally admits, they get to the kind of the top of this ridge, I guess, or a peak. Excuse me, and yeah, they get to the top of this like a valley kind of, and he looks over the other side, and it's just like forest for miles, and he's just kind of like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "This is not." And then she kind of starts to realize, "Oh wait, he was bullshitting me all along. He doesn't have a fucking clue what's going on." So then she goes to take her phone out of her bag, which then we find out that he took her phone out and left it in the car because he didn't want her on the phone when he was bringing her out for this weekend or whatever. Which is absolutely now seems insane considering they're stuck in the middle of this park. So eventually, I'm kind of skipping some of the details here, but I guess I don't know if it's spoilers, but I'm going to talk about the entire movie. So I actually enjoyed it that much that I wanted to give a spoiler-free review, but I don't want to. I just want to talk about it now. So yeah, if you haven't seen the movie and you want to watch it, or you don't like having things spoiled, now is probably the time to tune out. Yeah, so eventually they're met by the bear, and honestly, it's so fucking horrifying. Um, it's like the bear attacks them, and you know, I kind of thought at that point, okay, right, you know, we're obviously going to have an interaction with the bear. You know, I thought it was going to play out like cat and mouse kind of thing at that point, but that's not what happens at all. Um, Alex gets absolutely brutalized in front of Jen. At first, I think it fucks up his leg, and they manage to crawl back into their tent or something like that. And the bear kind of moves away a bit. And I thought, you know, oh, this is going to be the story now. The guy is injured. The chick who doesn't have a clue about outdoors is going to have to, you know, help get him to safety. And it's going to be the story is going to follow that, like their fight for survival. That was not the case. The bear comes back a second time and absolutely mauls him to death. Um, it's absolutely fucking vile, to be honest with you. I enjoyed it, but it was very raw and visceral to see it. Um, he gets brutally killed. Um, and then from this point, she has several different encounters with the bear, which were I thought really well done. I kind of want to know how they shot this and piece the movie together because at no point does anything really look that fake. And it seems like they had an actual bear and used, you know, it's obviously edited very clever in such a way that I can't imagine they would allow her within close proximity of an actual bear. But it looks that way. It really does look that way. It doesn't look cheesy or fake or anything at any point. Yeah, so she has a couple of encounters with the bear from that point. And honestly, from that point on, I felt like it got a little bit weird and I was kind of spacing out a bit. I won't go too much into what happens in the end, because I think you've got just enough there to maybe still check the movie out, and there's still some interesting stuff. But yeah, towards the end, I kind of, I guess my interest started to kind of slip a bit. It seemed, I don't want to say repetitive, but uh, after a little, I was like, oh, I don't really care. No, I did watch it all the way through, and like I said, I watched it twice in the space of a week. So it is a very good movie. I think some people will think it's absolutely trash. It's probably going to be like Marmite. You know, some people love it, some people hate it, kind of thing. But it was definitely my kind of movie, 100%. I probably would have changed a few things from the point where Alex gets killed. I would have changed up some of the stuff, but other than that, like it was all around, it was quite a good movie, to be honest. Okay, so before I move on to the next one, let's catch up on some comments. A Swedish horror nerd. I was expecting a rabid phone being live and kill people. Greg says, I also found it a good bit like Blair Witch with slow building towards the bear coming into it. Yes, it was very, and I love all those movies like The Ritual and different things like that that are set in the woods. So it definitely had that vibe, which I really liked. And I love that I guess couple or family going on a road trip kind of a thing. I love the idea, you know, things like Wrong Turn, Texas Chainsaw. I like that vibe in a film, and this definitely had that. Ted says bears can smell the menopause. You know what? I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm kind of half inclined to believe it. Bears are scary as fuck. But I don't think this chick was going through the menopause. So whether that's true or false, I don't think that's why. I think it's because Alex was trying to impress her and he ended up being a fucking idiot and got both of them pretty fucked up, to be honest. So the next movie that I got a chance to check out was Caveat, I assume the name it is. It was directed by an Irishman, actually, by the name of Damien McCarthy. I thought it was a fantastic movie, and I actually can't wait to see what he does next. The cast were great, from Ben Kaplan, Connor Duane, Jonathan French, Layla Sykes. I seen people giving this a little bit of shit online, but I actually don't see how you could. I thought this was a very, very good first showing for an Irish director, especially, and it's on Shudder now at the minute. And I like I've seen it get a lot of positive stuff said about it as well, but I really do want to see this guy get another chance because I thought this movie was very, very, very well done. Okay, so I'll give you a quick breakdown of the story. A lone drifter, Isaac, suffering from partial memory loss, accepts a job from his old landlord, Barrett, to look after his niece, Olga, a psychologically troubled woman living in an abandoned house on an isolated island. When Barrett convinces Isaac to confine his movements to the house and leaves the two of them alone, a game of cat and mouse ensues, with Isaac fighting to survive amid a terrifying resurgence of his own memory. The Honestly, I feel like I don't want to ruin this one because it's only newish out. People are only hearing about it now, and I really do want everybody to go and support this guy because, and like I said, a fellow Irishman as well. I like to see people like that doing well. This was I hope I get the chance to chat with him and interview him because I'd really like to pick his brain about the story and just the whole idea behind this and how they shot it. Like I said before, I don't understand the hate that the movie has gotten. I think it had a lot of things going for it, from the plot, the characters, the setting, deserted island. It even has a creepy possessed toy. For much of the movie, I was completely glued to the screen. Although towards the tail end, I started to become a little bit confused and kind of lost interest in what was happening slightly. It just, I think the story got a little bit convoluted at the end, and that was probably the intention. But it became that elaborate that I kind of didn't know where I was at one point. But all in all, it was a great little movie done by an Irish director. Like I said, I'm excited to see what he does next. I'm sure he has some stuff in the pipeline. I hope he does some more stuff at Shudder. The thing people need to remember with movies and original visions like this, especially, is what one person may not like can be someone else's favorite movie, and that's completely all right. You don't have to love everything, and I don't mind anybody critiquing a movie. Give your feedback, etc., on any creative work, movie, music, podcasts, whatever. But to just completely shit on a project with no context, I don't really think is a great thing to do because you're offering no constructive feedback or anything else like that. Especially to up and coming guys who have obviously risked a lot and worked extremely hard to make these things come to light. A lot of people think, something like this gets on Shudder. The guy is obviously a millionaire, he slapped this movie together, it's all good. A lot of times these stories, guys are working part-time, they're trying to, every bit of cash they have gets pumped into this. They put themselves on the line. It could take 5-6 years just to get one movie done, shopped around the festivals, and maybe get picked up by someone. And a lot of times, you know what? You think a movie gets on Shudder, that's it, then you're made. A lot of times that doesn't happen. Your movie gets on Shudder, and even if it gets rave reviews, that might not necessarily guarantee that you get a second shot at making a movie or funding, or you get to direct or whatever. So it's something I always like to say to people, to just go and completely shit on someone's work with no real context is a little bit unfair, to be honest. It's a little bit unfair. Greg says, in real life, it was her that died. Oh, okay, interesting. So she died in the. So they kind of flipped it. You know what? I probably would have just preferred if they had have killed her. Um, I know they try and do that like for movies to make it feel more helpless and whatever, but it just felt like for me it cheapened it a little bit just because all of a sudden it's like that horror movie trope, I guess. You know, the chick who was a lawyer didn't really care about the outdoors that much. And then you have the guy who says he's an outdoorsman. He gets fucked up and killed, and she all of a sudden becomes some sort of like Bear Grylls badass, which I hate that in movies. I absolutely hate that. I understand like we're watching a horror movie or a thriller movie, and it's going to be somewhat skewed and unrealistic, but oh, good lord, I hate that when somebody all of a sudden becomes amazing and knows all this shit about, splinting up your legs and what to do in the woods and how to escape and how to fight bears and animals and shit. It's just a bit tacky, in my opinion. Um, a Swedish horror nerd. Bears can also come up to a speed of 30 to 45 kilometers per hour, and a lot of times they only want to scare you with a slap, but they're not aware that their claws are dangerous. That is true, and I've heard several stories about people surviving attacks from doing different things. I just rather never be in that position, to be honest. You're here to those words, very realistic and down to earth. Yes, sir. So yeah, that's kind of what I've checked out this week. I did have one or two more things that I was going to add into this, but I might save them for next week. I don't want to overload with recommendations and my thoughts on stuff like that. So now the next portion of the stream, I'm going to attempt to for us to all watch a trailer together. I'm not sure how well this thing is going to work. You guys can let me know in the comments if it's choppy or if it's not working, and I'll just have to scrap that part of the show for this week and we'll move on. Okay, so let's have a look here. Just have to bear with me now, guys. So the first movie up is a movie called Masquerade. It stars Bella Thorne and it's directed by Shane Dax Taylor. The synopsis: 11-year-old Casey is home alone until a group of intruders, led by Rose, break in. They plan to steal her family's priceless collection of artwork, but their reckless ambition is outmatched only by Rose's opportunism. Casey must struggle to survive as the stakes grow ever higher, and the invaders prove themselves willing to stop at nothing to get what they want. Okay, so let's see if this is going to work or not. This may not work now, guys, but look, we'll attempt to do this.
Tonight was a huge success. It was all because of you. What do you say we leave the car here and take an Uber?
Do you know my parents are gonna be home? Your mom just texted saying they're leaving now. Will you tell them to come up and say goodnight when they get home?
Is this frozen for you
There's
guys?
absolutely nothing to worry about.
We're brokers. We travel around the world selling priceless works of art.
You know, one day I want to have exactly what you have.
Find her and keep her quiet.
You all right?
Yeah.
We didn't come here to hurt you. The kid's gone. I can't find her.
So that's a problem then. Let me try one more thing, guys, to see if this will work or not. Yeah, I thought that, all right, that it's frozen. Everybody's saying it's frozen here. Okay. Let's see if I... Just bear with me, guys. Now, I thought this was going to work, but obviously running all this stuff through one computer is probably half the problem. So let's look here. Okay, so let's try this way. Again, I'm not sure. Yeah, I noticed that. No, I am streaming only on one screen, unfortunately. Let's see. So let me know if you guys can see this. Can we see that, guys, or no?
Tonight was a huge success. It's all because of you. What do you say we leave the car here and take an Uber?
Do you know my parents are gonna be home? Your mom just texted saying they're leaving now. Will you tell them? Tell them to come up and say goodnight and get home. There's absolutely nothing to worry about.
We're brokers. We travel around the world selling priceless works of art.
You know, one day I want to have exactly what you have.
There might be some issues, guys, with frame rate and stuff, but I will have that figured out in a couple of weeks. My apologies.
And keep her quiet.
All right?
Yeah.
We didn't come here to hurt you. If she's gone, I can't find her. Don't forget why we're here. Just stick to the plan. I think they're home.
They should be inside any minute. Just do your part, and I'll do mine.
Please don't hurt my family.
Andy, I trust you. You know, one day I want to have exactly what you have.
Okay, so that's Masquerade. It's due to release July 30th, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, it's done by Shout Factory. It looks interesting. I love those kind of invasion movies, and I just wanted to pop up the trailer again. Like I said, I'm trialing different sections of the streams. This all will become more streamlined, more refined as the weeks go on. Once I get second monitors and different things like that, I will have a better, easier setup here. But I have one more trailer we're going to have a quick look at before we move on to horror news. And I'm just going to pull that up now. So just bear with me for 1 second, guys. Let's have a look here. Here we go. So this is the trailer for a movie that has just come out on DVD recently, I think. I'm not sure if it got a Blu-ray release or not. It's known as Saltwater, the Battle for RamRee Island. Directed and written by Steve Lawson, who done The Exorcist of Karen Walker, Hellraiser, not to be confused with Hellraiser, Killersaurus, and Nocturnal Activity. The synopsis is: during the last desperate months of World War II, an Allied mission to regain RamRee Island off the coast of Burma ends in horror when an embattled group of soldiers find themselves trapped in dense swampland infested with deadly saltwater crocodiles. As the men are picked off one by the hungry reptiles, those that remain resort to increasingly desperate measures to survive the onslaught of carnage and get off the island alive. Again, I do think it's a little bit like of a kind of a tacky movie, but I just thought it was a cool one to have a look at the trailer for, and it's relevant. It's recently released, so yeah, here it goes.
They say the swamplands of RamRee Island are almost impassable.
This is it, lads. Straight on through.
There's something in the water! Where?
Jesus Christ!
What is it?
You telling me we're stuck on an island, surrounded by bleeding crocodiles? It's a Japanese patrol.
Oi!
I think we got company. They're coming. What are you up to?
God!
If I have to go down, I'm going down fighting.
So there we go. Yeah, Greg says a creature feature. I'm in. Yeah, I mean, like, look, it looks all right. It's I wouldn't expect much from it, probably, in the fact that it's gotten only a DVD and like direct to DVD. I don't even think it got a Blu-ray, to be honest with you. The fact that that happened probably tells me that the movie's absolutely shocking. It does look like that trailer was also made on iMovie, which or Windows Movie Maker or something. Looks very template-ish. But yeah, all the same, I think it just seemed interesting. I had seen it online and it just kind of looked quirky, so I wanted to stick it in there. I might watch it and actually see what happens. Ted says they look like they're fighting each other more than the creatures. Yeah, I know, right? And it's just even the fighting is like all tacky and shite, and the acting is probably awful. Feels a bit Sharknado-esque. Maybe not as ridiculous, but probably not as self-aware. I think it was meant kind of serious, and it just looks like it might be a bit of a joke. Yeah, so now we're going to move on to the horror news portion of the stream. I'm going to run through a couple of news stories that I just handpicked out from the last week or so. Again, like I said, it'll be more refined as we go on, but let's get cracking. So, slasher Flesh and Blood comes to Shudder on August 12th. 2 episodes releasing on the premiere day, and then 1 a week from then onwards. The story is actually quite interesting. I've always liked slasher as well. For those who don't know, it's a TV show. And each season it's based around like a slasher. So yeah, the plot for this one is a wealthy dysfunctional family gathers for a reunion on a secluded island, only to learn they'll be pitted against one another in a cruel game of life and death, all while being stalked by a mysterious masked killer. Nothing is what it seems, and no one is safe as the tension and body count rise. Again, very basic, I guess, slasher storyline, but it seems interesting. I've enjoyed all the other seasons. Season 1, I absolutely fucking loved. I watched it multiple times. I actually think that's on Netflix right now, and it may be on Shudder still as well. So some more about it. Shudder general manager Craig Engler says Slasher Flesh and Blood is like Knives Out done by John Carpenter and takes the slasher franchise to a new level with gripping and scary story about family secrets, intrigue, murder, and legacy. We're incredibly lucky to have David Cronenberg, an icon of the genre, giving a standout performance as the fearsome, intimidating patriarch of the Galloway family, who sets the tone for the shocking twists, crazy mysteries, and total mayhem that's to come. Shudder members won't want to miss a single episode of this incredible event series. David Cronenberg, for those who might not know, is best known as a director. He has helmed classics like The Fly, Videodrome, Scanners, The Dead Zone, A History of Violence, and so much more as well. I'm sure you guys all know that already. I'm excited to see what it's like. Greg says, love season 1, hated season 2. Yeah, love season 1. Season 2, I tried to watch several times, feeling that I might like it. And every time, I don't even think I finished it properly ever. I would watch a couple of episodes and then kind of falter off towards the end. And then I think the next time I watched it, I didn't really give a shit about the start of it. And I watched the end of it. But yeah, I'm interested to see this. Hopefully it comes back. And the fact that David Cronenberg is involved, I thought was quite interesting to see. Very surprising, to be honest, because you would wonder like why he would have any desire to act in that. But yeah, I mean, maybe he saw something in it and we're in for a treat. I'm excited to see it. I love those storylines, you know, secluded islands and just your kind of murder mystery TV shows, I guess. They can be enjoyable if they're done right. Next up, we have Charles Band Full Moon Pictures has announced their next film. So this one, again, it's just ridiculous as always. Demonic Toys, Baby Oopsie is the name of it. So just when you thought that they couldn't come up with more shite or whatever, they had ran out of material, just like awful movies or awful named movies or whatever. We have Demonic Toys, Baby Oopsie. Again, I'm going to watch this, probably buy the Blu-ray. If they bring out a collector's edition, probably buy it as well, just because it's so bad. So let's take a look at the synopsis. An eccentric doll collector has turned to YouTube for social acceptance, and instead, like in life, is ridiculed. Her fortunes change one day when she picks up a charred antique doll head and decides to restore it on her social media channel. It turns out this particular doll, Baby Oopsie, has a checkered and haunted past, and murder and mayhem consume the 7,500 square foot home. Currently, there's no release date for this new flick. Also, I just noted here as well in the synopsis for this, it has murder and mayhem consume the 7,476 square foot home, which seems like a really bizarre and random specific number of square footage to have in the plot. Ted says, God, that name just tells me that it's going to be a shit show. I would imagine so, Ted. I would imagine it's going to be absolutely fucking dreadful. But look, I'll watch it just for that. We might even maybe we'll do like a watch party or something when that comes out, because it'll just be absolutely ridiculous. The one thing I will say is I like how they're trying to pull the social media YouTube thing into it. That's kind of interesting. I do like that. But again, like I don't expect it to be good. The only thing I will say is that they probably are pretty self-aware of that now at this point, and it's kind of become their shtick. So that's not as bad then. A Swedish horror nerd says they must announce a new movie every day and it comes out in 2 weeks. Yeah, I know, right? You kind of wonder. And you know what? Full Moon Pictures and Trauma make a lot of money. A lot of money. I speak quite often with somebody who works for one of those companies, and you would not believe how much money they're able to make from pawning off that shite. Yeah, Charles Band sticks with the times. It's the same as Lloyd Kaufman, like, to be honest with you. He has managed to build an entire empire off of shockingly bad movies. I mean, is something we're going to get to in a second. Actually, I could just segue straight into it. Really, details were released about Elijah Wood's Toxic Avenger role. So, if you guys that don't know, obviously Toxic Avenger has been redone. It's going to have Peter Dinklage and a few others in it. So Elijah Wood is set to co-star alongside the previously announced Peter Dinklage and Jacob Tremblay as the film's villain, a corrupt executive and Winston's boss who aims to go toe-to-toe with the Toxic Avenger. His character, Bob Garbinger, is aged between 40 and 50. He has eerie plastic surgery, evil head of the shady company Garb X. He has no regard for the well-being of anyone but himself and embarks on a murderous spree to become as powerful as Toxie. His ego is bolstered by his standing amongst the town's officials, but in reality he lives in the fear of the underworld gang he's indebted to. Yeah, again, sounds interesting. I can't wait to see that. I love Toxic Avenger, so I was really excited when I saw this happening. But it just goes to show, like, I mean, that shit's still relevant today. And like, I love Toxic Avenger, I'm not knocking it, but it's so fucking trash. It's so trash. And most of the trauma movies, I mean, they have a new one out now. There's a guy I have a lot of time for, a super cool guy called Zach Amico. He has his own podcast called Zach Amico's Midnight Spook Show, where he brings on different comedians, different people in the entertainment business, and they watch a movie every week. And they just kind of chat over it and stuff. He also has other podcasts, the Real Ass Podcast with Luis Gomez, and he has Bye Guys with Ian Fidance. But he also works for Trauma as well. But they have a new movie coming out soon, or already out. I think it's been doing the drive-throughs, the drive-ins and stuff like that. Shakespeare's Shitstorm. It's the name of it. Again, I love it. I love it for what it is. And I feel like Lloyd and everybody over there know exactly what they're doing. Swedish Horror Nerd says, some of it must go to Gary Busey, food and cocaine that lives in the moon. Yeah, I get that. So let's see, what will we do next? Next actually is an article that I had came across online. It's from psychologytoday.com, and it was written by a woman by the name of Ainsley Hawthorne. So, new study finds that horror fans cope better with the pandemic. The University of Chicago conducted a study in April on 322 people. The results showed that horror fans were significantly less psychologically distressed than people who preferred other genres. They appear to have fewer symptoms of anxiety and depression or sleeplessness. So there are several theories as to why people enjoy horror, and it might prepare you for real-life situations. One possible explanation is something called benign masochism. This theory says that when we know we're 100% safe, we can enjoy feelings that are otherwise seen as negative, such as pain, fear, or exhaustion. Another possibility is ordeal simulation hypothesis, which is the idea we can imagine ourselves in high-stakes scenarios and how we would deal with them. This all supports the theory that many people who expose themselves on the regular to horror movies have learned to overcome feelings of fear and anxiety better than others and can regulate their negative emotions surrounding the pandemic. Again, like, I don't know how much of that is grounded in 100% in reality, but it is an interesting thought that, you know, somebody who's exposing themselves to, I don't think a lot of times we take note of your body is constantly reacting to everything that you put into it, everything you're exposed to, your surroundings, you know, who you're friends with, all that stuff. And we start to build, I guess, cortisol reactions based off of that. And I just thought it was interesting that somebody had taken the time to try and study this and see that people who expose themselves to that stuff on a regular maybe, you know, maybe more inclined to be able to cope with something like a real life pandemic. I don't know. A lot of people theorize that it's because we think we could actually deal with it, you know, and we know what to do. It's not that. I don't think. I think it's just you're able to deal with your emotion. We still all feel shit and panic probably, and have anxiety and have depression about the lockdowns and stuff. But maybe we're able to just cope with it a little bit better. You don't completely fall apart. And it might help that we probably just all hunkered down like hermits and just watch movies nonstop, to be honest with you. I think any movie fan probably would have benefited from that. There was a big announcement this week as well. Rob Zombie officially confirmed that his next movie will actually, in fact, be The Munsters. So after being chasing the project for 20 years, he claims that he had finally got it. When we last heard the rumors of this project, it was set to film in Budapest in May, and that it may be an original or an exclusive movie for Peacock. Zombie is a self-proclaimed massive fan of the Munsters and even featured on a commentary track for Munster Go Home, released by Scream Factory last year. Again, I'm super excited for this. When this came out a while ago, people were talking about it, and a lot of people were like, nah, this is bullshit. It's an April Fool's joke. It's this and it's that. I was like, personally, I'd fucking love to see Zombie take this on. I love all Rob Zombie's work. Always have. I love how the one thing that nobody can ever take away from Rob Zombie, whether you like his stuff or not, is he is unequivocally him. So, you know, I'm a diehard Michael Myers fan, as you can probably see here from the back, this side, from the background. You know, I've got some masks. I've got a lot of Michael Myers stuff. I've got some overalls. I've got all the movies several times. I've got a Myers tattoo. So I love Michael Myers, but I also love Rob Zombie. And I'm excited to see Rob Zombie's The Munsters. I think that's what he gave us with Halloween. He gave us his take on all that. And I think he does that every time. And that's what I like about it. The Bullock family, thanks for joining us. Rob Zombie is definitely a horror fan, and I'm excited to see whatever he puts out. I'd agree. I do wholeheartedly agree with that. And I appreciate the comment as well and the interaction. But I actually think it will be good. I think a lot of people are worried that you know, that it's going to be something crazy where like maybe they're going to be like stabbing the shit out of each other and it's going to be like rape scenes and stuff. I don't think he'll go that route, but I definitely do think it's going to be a lot darker than we're used to. A Swedish horror nerd, yes, Danny Trejo on a white horse as Harmon riding around skull fucking people. I think that's what you've just said there is what people are worried about. But I don't think we should be worried about that so much. Greg says it's going to be dark as fuck. So the Munsters will be Sherry Moon to be cast. Yeah, 100%. She'll definitely be cast, I'm sure. I feel like they work quite well together. It's kind of bizarre, to be honest, considering they're husband and wife. You'd think they would be after killing each other at this point. And what has Ted said? Ted says, I think he'll do very well with the Munsters. I also agree with that. I do think he'll do very well. And I think for as many people that are shitting on this announcement, I think there's plenty of people who actually really can't wait to see what he's going to do with it. Scream Factory had an announcement a while back, and we've got some more information about it. It's the House of Wax remake Blu-ray, and the full details were released. So we're going to take a look at the artwork, if I can bring it up here for you guys. I'm just going to put the box art on screen. Yeah, he probably is the only one to cast her, Greg, to be honest with you. Look, I mean, she hasn't really disappointed all that much. She was absolutely fantastic as Baby in the Firefly trilogy. So let's have a look here now. Share screen. See if I can add this. We've got another comment here. Bullock family. I think Rob Zombie knows when to go full horror or when to throttle it a bit. I think it depends on the movie studio he's working with. Yeah, 100%. And if you ever listen to, he has a really good podcast with Joe Rogan, and he talks about the interference with the Halloween movies and different things like that. And he talks about the story of House of a Thousand Corpses. I thought it was super interesting, and I love that he was just genuine about it. He's like, I don't give a fuck. This is what happened, and yeah, that's the way it is. Rob Zombie always has amazing concepts and great ideas, but I don't think he can execute them. I would disagree. Just based off of a lot of times, I think that's partly why people don't like him, because he does it exactly how he sees it. So a lot of people didn't like how violent he made Myers in his original reboot, or whatever you want to call it. And there was some really violent scenes, and a lot of people didn't agree with that. And then in the second one, you know, the way that all went, I think that's just because he is who he is, and he's got to make his movie regardless. I think fair play to him as well, to be able to take a franchise like that, and people always refer to Rob Zombie's Halloween. It says a lot, even though he says that the movie got fucked with so much. Okay, so let's pull up this artwork here. So this is the artwork for the Scream Factory House of Wax 2005 Blu-ray. So like I said, we got some more details this week. On July 13th, Scream Factory proudly presents the modern cult classic House of Wax in the Ultimate Collector's Edition Blu-ray release, featuring a new 2K scan of the movie. The release comes packed with bonus features, including new interviews with actors Paris Hilton, composer John Ottman, and makeup effects artist. Okay, so the synopsis for this movie, I'm sure everybody knows this, but when their car breaks down on a road trip, 6 college friends are sidetracked to an eerie backwoods town. Curiosity gets the better of them when they're intrigued by a macabre house of wax. They soon find out that the town is not what it seems, and that they must find their way out before they fall victim to its ghoulishly inventive killers. Okay, so here is a quick breakdown of the special features that are going to be included in this Blu-ray. We have a new 2K scan of the movie, Die My Darling, an interview with actress Paris Hilton, The Tale of Blake and Page, an interview with the actors, Organ Grinder, an interview with the composer, To Me, They Live and Breathe, an interview with the makeup artist, B-roll and bloopers, video cast commentary, From Location, Joel Silver reveals the House of Wax, Wax On, the design of the House of Wax, The House Built on Wax, the visual effects of the movie, the alternate opening, Jennifer Killed, gag reel, vintage interviews with cast and crew from the electronic press kit, vintage featurette, and theatrical trailers. Again, like Scream Factory, absolutely killing it with the releases. I love, they're probably my favorite company that put stuff together, because they really, you know, I would buy releases of movies just for artwork, but not only do they give you the artwork and the original artwork, they give you all these new special features, and then you're getting your 2K or your 4K scans of the movies as well, you know, and sometimes new commentary tracks and different things. They're really killing it, like, and I hope they stick around for a long time. And they have their finger on the pulse as well, I think, because House of Wax, I know a lot of people don't like that. That has a huge cult following. And I think that they're very clever that they're releasing this movie, to be honest with you. And the final thing we have for this show, because I know we've gone a little bit over our hour mark, is another, I guess, semi-Irish announcement. Evil Dead Rise officially starts production in New Zealand. So Raimi and Campbell are once again producing with New Line Cinema, and it is directed by fellow Irishman Lee Cronin, who done The Hole in the Ground. Okay, so Variety, who initially broke the news, detailed the next chapter in the saga that builds off the original trilogy rather than the 2013 30 you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me? Just let me know in the comments, guys, if you guys can still hear me or not. Sorry, yeah, I'm not sure what happened. So I'm having some issues again with this. Like I said, a lot of this stuff will probably be figured out once I get a second monitor. I think that's half the issue. Bullock family will definitely set my notifications and have a listen next time. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, like I said, that's kind of it for this show anyway. As always, thanks everyone for the support. I hope you enjoyed this week. As always, let me know what you think of these movies and news. Any feedback is appreciated. I love hearing from everybody on my socials, which are going to be on the screen in a moment. Right down at the bottom there. So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch under First Class Horror, and I'm on Twitter at @class_horror. You can find me anywhere podcast platforms. I have a new interview posted today with the director of the Shudder horror movie The Shed, Frank Sabatella. Part 1 of that is up right now. And yeah, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.